Okay, good morning everyone, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning as we are studying together Perashat Beshalach. And the Pasuk says in this week's Parashah that as the Jewish people were departing and exiting Egypt, everyone was taking their belongings. They were taking their personal belongings. They were taking the Egyptians' gold and silver that they were taking with them. Like the Pasuk says, V'hamushim alu Bnei Yisrael. The Jewish people went up, Hamushim. They were armed with a lot of spoils from the Egyptians. However, Moshe Rabbeinu, the Pasuk says, was taking something else. Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef immo. Moshe Rabbeinu was not taking gold or silver, he was taking Yosef's bones. Alav HaKatuv Omer, and the Midrash says, Hacham lev, a wise heart, Yikach Mitzvot, takes commandments. According to the Midrash, Moshe Rabbeinu is a Chacham. He is a wise-hearted person. And why? Because he understands the true spoils. The true prize is Mitzvot. Shekol Yisrael hayu asukim bekesef v'zahav. All of the Jewish people are preoccupied, taking gold, taking silver. Moshe haya asuk be'atzmot Yosef. Moshe, though, was involving himself in taking Yosef's bones. Shne'emar, like it says, Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef. So this is a famous midrash that's quoted by Rashi, but the midrash actually continues. I want to read to you the rest of the midrash. It's fascinating. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu le Moshe, Alecha netkayim hacham levikach mitzvot. Yosef haya hayav le'aviv lekabro b'nei shehu beno. Yosef, remember when Yaakov died, he also asked his son Yosef to bury him in Israel. It's a thing to be buried in Israel. It's an interesting question halachically today. How far should one go to try to be buried in Israel? We see Yaakov wanted it, Yosef wanted it. Should a person today spend money on being buried in Israel? Should they? Is it better to spend it to go buried in Israel? Should you give it to your kids? You know, you see Gedolim, we're not all buried in Israel. How come? But either way, Yaakov wanted to be buried in Israel, and so did Yosef. Now Yosef owed it to his father. He was Hayav le'aviv. He's a son. And God says to Moshe, though, Ata lo beno, you're not Yosef's sons. Lo ben beno, you're not his grandson. Lo ita hayav lo kelum. You don't owe him anything. Really, you could have had someone else from the tribe of Yosef carry his bones. The kabarta, but yet you buried him nonetheless. Chenani, God says, and me too. Any hayav, I'm not obligated to my leberiya. I'm under no obligation to any creature, says God. However, ani metapel becha ve'ekbercha, but I will nonetheless take care of you and bury you when your time comes to die. Shne'emar, like it says all the way at the end of the Torah, Vayikbor oto bagai, that God buries Moshe in the Gai, in the land of Moav. Umenayin haya Moshe yodeh hechan haya Yosef kabur. And where did Moshe know where Yosef was buried? Two opinions in the Midrash. Here we go. Yesh omrim Serach bat Asher hirata oto. There are those who say that Serach, the daughter of Asher, showed him Yosef's resting place. If you remember, she was born all the way back when Joseph was alive. So she knew where he had been interred. She knew where Yosef was buried. Hayakavur benilus, and he was buried in the Nile. So how did he get him out of the Nile? They didn't have cranes. Me'asa Moshe, what did Moshe do? Etc. V'chulu. The Midrash doesn't share the whole story because it assumes we know the story. It's quoted in other places. How he dug it out of the Nile. There are it's brought down in the Devarim Rabbah that it says over there they placed a metal coffin in the Nile so that it sinks. The Egyptians believed that Yosef would bring beracha to the Nile, so they put him in the Nile. And then Moshe had to bring it up. He asked Hashem to help him. Some say he wrote it on the paper. Ale shor. So that's one opinion in the Midrash of how he got Yosef's coffin. Yesh omrim betocha paltorin hayakavur, but some say he was actually buried in the palace. Kederech melachim, the way the kings are buried. Ve'asu mitzrim kelavim shel zahav bechshafim. Now what happened was the Egyptians made golden dogs. Shim yavo adam lesham, so that if anyone would come in there free and try to approach the coffin, kolan holech bechol eretz Mitzrayim, they would bark and their voice would travel throughout the land of Egypt. Mahalach mem yom, a distance of 40 days. V'shitkan Moshe. So Moshe goes to this area to go take the coffin, and Moshe was able to quiet the dogs. That's what it says, we read above. Ulchol Bnei Yisrael lo yehirat kelev leshono. That no dog barked that night for the Jews. Ulchol Yisrael, for the entire Jewish people, no dog barked. According to the Midrash, it means the dogs that the Egyptians had in order to warn it was back then the alarm system. The dogs didn't bark that night. So Moshe was able to take the coffin of Yosef. Hitchil Moshe tzoveyah. Yosef, Yosef. Moshe started yelling, calling out, Joseph, Joseph. Higia sha'ah. The time has come, she'amarta, that you have forewarned about. Pakod yifkod Elohim etchem. The God will indeed remember you. Yosef, where are you? We need to go. He didn't know which coffin. They didn't have labels back then. Miyad nitnadned ha'aron. Thereupon the coffin of Yosef started to stir. Untalo Moshe, and then Moshe knew which one it was and he took it. Shneimar vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef. That's what it means. That Moshe took Yosef's coffin. V'hayu atzmotav shel Yosef mehazerin mahem midbar mem shana. And now the coffin is traveling for 40 years with them. Amar lo Kadosh Baruch Hu, and God says to Yosef, Ata amarta le'achecha, you said to your brothers, Anochi achalkel etchem, I will sustain you. You took care of your family, Yosef. Hayecha, now on my life, Ata niftar ve'hayu atzmotecha mehazin mehem. Now they will take care of your bones. And for 40 years we took care of Yosef's bones. We even know, Pasuk later in Bamidbar says, Vayi anashim asher yu tameim lenefesh adam, that there were people that couldn't celebrate the first year anniversary of Passover, the 1 year anniversary after we left. Pasuk says that they couldn't celebrate the Pesach because they were tameh. And you're not allowed to eat the Korban Pesach if you're tameh. Why were they tameh? The Midrash here says they were tameh to Yosef's bones. They were carrying the coffin. And that's why they couldn't eat Korban Pesach. They were carrying a coffin that makes them tameh. And so we got a holiday called Pesach Sheni because of Yosef. Unbelievable. So Moshe Rabbeinu here doesn't owe anything to him. But he's taking the coffin nonetheless. Ki hashbeya et Bnei Yisrael, because Yosef made his siblings swear and swear, double swear. Lama shene pe'amim, why a double expression? Elahu nishba lahem she'en belebo alehem. The explanation is as follows. Yosef swore to his brothers that he bore in his heart no hatred against them. Vehem nishba'in lo she'en belebam alav, and they swore to him that they have nothing against him. And you will therefore take my bones up with you. And this is the final idea of the Midrash for today. This can be compared to the following. Adam, if a person had wine in his cellar, nichnesu ganavim the thieves came. V'natlu habit, they took the barrel. V'alchu lahem v'shatu oto, and they started drinking it on the road. Ba ba'al hayayin u'matza otam sheganvu habit. Eventually they were caught. The owner came and caught the thieves. Amar lahem, he says, listen, shatitem hayayin, you drank my wine. I'm not going to sue you for the wine, but at least ihziru habit limkoma. Least you could do is put the barrel back where you found it. Says the Midrash, you know how we apply the parable? Look at this. Unbelievable. I don't know if you ever heard this one. Kach, says Yosef, similarly, Mishchem ganvu ehav shel Yosef oto machru oto. You guys, when you kidnapped me, you stole me. Which city was that in? You stole me from Shechem. Now, now that his time was to leave the world, he's told his brothers, listen, the least you could have done is return me alive. You didn't do that. B'bakasha, at least mishchem ganavtem otihai, hachziru et atmotai l'shchem. At least return me there dead. At least put the barrel back where you found it. At least put me back in Shechem. And indeed that's what happened. It says in Yehoshua, ve'et atzmot Yosef, and the bones of Yosef, asher he'elu Bnei Yisrael Mitzrayim kaveru b'Shechem. The bones of Yosef that we took from Egypt were buried in Shechem. Yosef was kidnapped from Shechem, and at least full circle he was returned to Shechem. And this is what we call teshubah, is what we call repentance. But over here the Midrash is telling us fascinating. And this is the end of the Midrash, by the way. The idea is that, though, nonetheless, that ultimately Moshe Rabbeinu was a wise man. He takes Mitzvot. And he did not need to do that. And also, I want you to appreciate how much Moshe had on his head. How much he was probably preoccupied. All the different things he was in charge of. As the leader of the Jewish people, he's taking them from slavery to freedom. I'm sure he had many daunting challenges. He had to create a framework for a new society based on principles never before applied on a national scale for a people unaccustomed to freedom and unprepared for life in a barren wilderness. In addition, he acted as the nation's teacher and judge. He had to convey all the laws, to teach them all the mitzvot, adjudicate in all the disputes. As a prophet, he's communicating with God. He has to always be ready as a prophet to communicate with Hashem at any moment. So with all of this on his mind, on his plate, he had his plate full. Now he's also going and looking for Yosef's bones. And he's not a tribe of Yosef. He's not a descendant of Yosef. The other people could have done it. You know, you're a CEO. There's something called, allocating. You have to divide and conquer, empower. But Moshe nonetheless undertook this mitzvah. Because he is a chacham lev. He not only wants to do mitzvot, but he's looking for more mitzvot. And more mitzvot, and more mitzvot. Because even though I don't have to, I want to. Because people like Moshe, my friends, realize in life that when you do a mitzvah, you are seizing the greatest thing possible. In everything in life, you're either taking or you're giving. Every action is either a taking or a giving. Sometimes we give in order to take. If I give you a lift, I'm giving you because later on, I know one day I'll need from you a lift, so you'll give me. So I'm giving you in order to take. When you go to work, you're giving your boss, but it's really taking because you want to get paid. If I ask you to take out the garbage, you may do it, you may not. You may see it beneath you. But if I said, if you take out the garbage, I'll give you $10,000. Cash, na'di, right now, here you go. Who wouldn't take out the garbage right down the hole? 10,000, I'll take it out all day. $10,000 to take out the garbage? Deal. When it comes to mitzvot, a person understands I have over here the reward of the mitzvah, the privilege of the mitzvah. It's worth it. If I have to take the garbage out, but the reward is 10,000, I'll do it. What's the question? The Chacham Lev, the tzaddik recognizes that performing a mitzvah is not a debt, it's not an obligation, it's not a commandment. The tzaddik sees a mitzvah as an opportunity. When I do a mitzvah, I am taking for myself. It's an opportunity. If a dad says to his kid, get me a water, sometimes he's got to ask more than once. For sure, if he doesn't tell which kid to ask, it'll be left without the water. If a dad just says on the Shabbat table, could someone get water? Maybe each sibling will look at the other one. You go. I went last time. A Hacham, Moshe Rabbeinu, would understand getting water, running. Not let's do rock, paper, scissors and whoever loses has to get it. A tzaddik understands whoever wins gets to get it. It's an opportunity to get it. I want to get it. If a dad said, whoever gets me, please go get me water, no one's going to want. If the dad said, okay, whoever gets the water will get the $10,000. Now each kid's running to get the water first because they understand there's a reward here. The tzaddik does not need the reward. The tzaddik understands that I'm taking the mitzvah. Hacham lev yikach mitzvot. The tzaddik realizes that fulfilling Hashem's will is the highest endeavor possible. It's the purpose of existence, is to do mitzvot. Pasuk says, Ashrei shirei Adonai ve'ed mitzvotav hafetz me'od. We say this when a person passes away at the hashkabah. Ashrei ish, praiseworthy is a man who fears God. Ub mitzvotav hafetz, and he wants hafetz, the mitzvot. It doesn't say he wants the reward. It says he wants the mitzvah. The Gemara explains that David HaMelech here is talking about a person who cherishes the mitzvah, not the reward of the mitzvah. The reward is nice, but the highest level, David HaMelech says, is wanting the mitzvah itself. The mitzvah itself is the reward. The fact that I get to do a deed, that deed allows me to resemble God. Mesillah Yesharim, when he talks about different levels of motivation, why people do what they do. When a person should do the right thing, there's different levels of motivation. One person is doing the right thing because they want reward in this world. That's a low level. I'll keep Shabbat because it's going to give me parnasah. I'll read the Perashat Haman because it's going to get me married. They want reward here and now. It's good. No, not bad. It's good. Low level. Then you have a guy who wants not reward here. He doesn't care about here. He knows this world is temporary. He has his eyes on the real prize. Olam haba. He wants to do mitzvot for the next world. I want to get rewarded there. I'm building my palace there. I don't want a palace here. I don't care if I have a small house here. I don't need furniture here. I'd rather the real furniture. Wow, okay, higher level. Next world. But says Mesillah Yesharim, there is an even higher level. And that is that the person doesn't want this world, he doesn't want the next world. The person wants the good deed. That's called lishma. Where the person understands that the deed itself is the reward. The deed itself is fulfilling. The fact that I got to do a mitzvah, that's enough. The mitzvah itself. And what am I taking? I'm taking the mitzvah. Not the reward from the mitzvah. The mitzvah itself. That I got to put tefillin. The tzaddik understands that's rewarding. That I got to give tzedakah. Not because it's going to allow me to get more money next week. The fact that I gave tzedakah is the reward. That's the highest level, my friends. Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot, better 1 hour of deeds in this world than the entirety of Olam Haba. You believe it? It's Pirkei Avot. If you don't believe me, look at it, chapter 4. 1 hour in this world is greater than all of Olam Haba. Now, how could that be? Olam Haba. We say the opposite. We say all of the pleasures of this world don't equal 1 minute of pleasure in the next world. It's true. Pleasure, all of this world doesn't equal Olam Haba. But the idea of being able to accomplish, of purpose, of satisfaction, all of the next world doesn't equal one ability in this world. We have to realize, my friends, that this world is the world of doing. And 1,000,000 Olam Habas cannot give you one act of doing. We will never be able to say to Hashem, I love you, in the next world. We'll never be able to give up a temptation for God in the next world. There is no temptation. There is no I love you. This world is the journey. This world is the journey. And it's about the journey, my friends, not the destination. This world is the dream. If someone told us that there's no Olam Haba anymore, would we still be able to appreciate the journey? If you tell an athlete that even if you win, you're not going to get the trophy, a real athlete wouldn't care. Because for them, playing the game is the goal, is the dream. It's the grind. That's what life is all about. Not the vacation, not the destination, not when it's all over, not the retirement. Retirement is not what it's about. It's about doing. A tzaddik understands, I get to do. Hacham lev yikach mitzvot. Chacham takes the mitzvah. Why would I want to let someone else do the mitzvah? This is what life's all about. That's the stuff that makes it all up. It's made up from these mitzvot that we do. I'm not going to allow someone else to do it. Gemara says if a person is going to do a mitzvah and someone else comes and grabs it, then the person who took it owes the guy he took it from. He owes him money. That's the perspective that they had. You took my mitzvah. I see a mitzvah not as an obligation, I see it as an opportunity. Moshe Rabbeinu understood this. That when I do a mitzvah, I'm taking. I'm not giving God. I'm not doing for God. It was selfish. I'm doing for me. God does not need my mitzvah. God doesn't receive when I do a mitzvah. I am taking. Hachalev yikach mitzvot. Not the aseh mitzvot. Not the chacham does mitzvot. A chacham is taking mitzvot. We don't always appreciate that. We don't always value it like that. We don't see it like that. Unfortunately, we're far from that level. We don't see it like that. We don't see it that I do a mitzvah, I'm taking for myself. We see it as something that it's a chore. It's a chore. I have to do it. And it's worth it. It'll bring me something one day. Moshe didn't see it as a chore. And we got to start cultivating that mentality, that attitude. We got to start realizing, maybe learning about the mitzvot. How valuable they are. What they mean. That every mitzvah makes me a little bit more godly. A little mitzvah brings kedusha in my life. That's what we say when we do a mitzvah. Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav. This mitzvah is bringing me holiness. This mitzvah is making me kadosh. This mitzvah is bringing godliness into my life. This mitzvah is happiness. This mitzvah is greatness. This mitzvah is what life's about. There's no greater feeling in life than being holy. There's no greater feeling in life than when I do a mitzvah. That's what life's about. When I do a mitzvah, it makes me kadosh. Moshe Rabbeinu saw a mitzvah, grabbed it. He would cut the line, not at the smorgasbord. He would cut the line to try to do a mitzvah. He would beg you, please, can I do it? I want to do it. He lived with that clarity of what mitzvah do. Mitzvot make us like Hashem. Famous story we've said in the past, for sure, a few times. It's coming to mind now. Of Yossele the Holy Miser. If you remember, this famous story of Karlebach. He says the story of Yossele the Holy Miser. That there was once a guy, Yossele, very wealthy man, but unfortunately he never gave tzedakah. No matter how many times they asked him, the needs, the poor, he never gave, he never helped. Not for me, don't bother me, I don't give tzedakah. Well, one day, it was coming along to pass away, getting older in life, and he came to the Hevra Kadisha, the burial society. He said, can you please bury me? Here's the money, I want a grave. He told him, Yossele, if you want to be buried, you want to be buried with the community, you need to be part of the community. You need to help the community. We need tzedakah. Please, Yossele, we have over here widows, we have orphans, we have causes. We need food. And Yossele said, no, I'm not giving my money. Here's enough for my grave, I want a piece of land and that's it. He said, but Yossele, you can't even use it when you die. What are you going to do with it? And he wouldn't give. He would not be able to depart from his money. Stingy. Kamtzan. Well, he passed away and they warned him. They said, we're not going to bury you. And he didn't care. He passed away. And sure enough, the burial site, they didn't know what to do. On the one hand, he's a Jew. But he was so selfish, he never helped any other Jew. So they decided to give him the most disgraceful location. Is they buried him all the way at the edge of the cemetery, away from everybody. Okay. Well, fast forward to Friday afternoon, the rabbi gets a knock on his door. The rabbi opens up, and the lady is standing there crying, please, Rabbi, I need food, I need help for Shabbat. The rabbi was shocked. He says, of course, yes, come. He goes onto his tzedakah box, he grabs some money and he gives it to her. And she goes off. And then a few minutes later, he gets a knock on the door. And there's another person. Can I help you? He says, please, Rabbi, I don't have food for Shabbat. So, of course, come on in. You got some money. 3, 5, 10, 20 people coming to the door. Friday morning. What in the world's going on? What happened? Everyone lost their money all of a sudden. USAID. Okay, fine. So what do? He didn't know what to do. Well, the next week, the lady came again, knocking on the door. He says, I don't understand. All of a sudden, you lost your money. What happened? What did you do last week, the week before, the week before? How come all of a sudden you're coming to me now? Your husband didn't just pass away or something. You're not recently a widow. She says, I'll tell you. I always needed money for many, many years. She says, but what can I say, Rabbi? Every Friday morning I would wake up and I would see an envelope of cash. Someone slid it under the door Thursday night. And I used that money every week, from week to live. The rabbis say, what? Thursday night? Okay. The next guy comes, knocks on the door. The rabbi says, what about you? What happened to you that you all of a sudden need money? He says, what can I tell you? Every Thursday night, somebody would come and slip money under my door. He said, what happened? He said, I don't know, it just stopped. Last 2 weeks, no more. And every person coming. And the rabbi put 2 and 2 together. And he started realizing that the only thing that changed in the last 2 weeks was Yossele passed away. And he started realizing that Yossele maybe wasn't such a miser. Yossele was actually holier than he thought. And every Thursday night, this Yossele was going and doing not only tzedakah, but the highest level of tzedakah basete, where he gave the envelope and no one knew about it. A real tzaddik. And all of a sudden the rabbi realized that they had a tzaddik in their midst. And he starts getting sick to his core, realizing how they disgraced this tzaddik, burying him at the edge of the cemetery. And the rabbi starts getting sick, and he starts crying, and he starts praying, asking forgiveness from this big tzaddik, Yossele, who was feeding the entire town, all the paupers, for the last who knows how many decades, and no one even knew. And he's praying and crying, please, please, Rabbi, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. And finally one night, as the rabbi is in the middle of his sleep, he has a dream. And who comes to visit him in his dream? Yossele. And Yossele comes and says, Rabbi, why are you crying? He says, you should see me up here. I have a lot. I'm very good. I'm with Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu. I have a very nice seat up here, Rabbi. He says, please, Yossele, please forgive us. We didn't know. We didn't give you the respect you deserve down here. We mistreated you. We belittled you. We spoke bad about you. Please forgive us. And he says, I forgive you. 100%, don't worry about it. I forgive you. And the rabbi said, Yossele, please, is there anything I can do? Anything we could do for you? And Yossele responded and he said, I'll tell you, Rabbi. It's very nice up here. It's beautiful. But as nice as it is, I tell you, I would give it all up for just one more Thursday night. If I could just get one more Thursday night. Just one more night of being able to go and put envelopes under people's door. I would give it all up for one more opportunity to put a smile on somebody's face. And this is the Yossele, the Holy Miser, my friends. The rabbi, the story ends off. The rabbi made sure he put in his will when he passed away that he wanted to be buried all the way at the edge, right next to Yossele. But this is a man who understood what it means, that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's not about Olam Haba, it's about Olam Hazeh. Can we reach that place of understanding? There is no greater feeling in the entirety of the universe, of existence, than being able to be godly, than being able to do a mitzvah. Nothing's greater. And ideally a person should reach that level in this world. It is only the next world that we receive the reward is only something that's for lower level people. A lower level person cannot appreciate this world, so he needs the next world. But believe it or not, the highest level is when a person could actually taste it here, reach it here, not waiting for the next world. That's second best option. The best is when I could actually become it now. Not because I'm enjoying all the, yachts and steaks and wines. I'm not talking about the physical pleasures of this world. Physical, they're not the real pleasures. Talking about the real reward of being able to do a mitzvah. Maybe we don't taste it. Maybe we don't really appreciate it. But you know what? We could pray for it. Maybe I could pray in my Amidah, Hashem, please help me. What the rabbi's talking about. I want to be able to taste the beauty of a mitzvah in this world. There is no greater feeling in life. Moshe Rabbeinu understood. When I get to emulate God, I get to be like Hashem for just one tiny moment. Why would I give that up to anybody? Why would I want to lose that? Why would I want to allow someone else to take that? No way. I may not be on the level of from the tribe of Yosef, but I'm going to let someone else do it. I want it. I want to take it. I know I don't have to, but I want to. I don't have to, but I want to. Maybe that's why, by the way, just for a closing thought. We know usually mitzvot, The reward is in the next world. We can't reward mitzvot in this world. A mitzvah is something that's very physical, spiritual. This world is physical. You can't reward a spiritual act in a physical world. You need to reward a mitzvah in the next world, Olam Haba. Correct? So this class that you're listening to, you're not going to get paid here for this class. You don't want to get paid here. It's like paying a guy for doing a good deed, peanuts, when you could give him a diamond. This world is peanuts. The next world is diamonds, much greater. But there is one mitzvah that you can actually get rewarded in this world. Those are mitzvot that we're not obligated to do. Mitzvot that technically we're exempt from, but that we do anyways. Then I could get rewarded even here. When I put myself in a situation that I don't need to, I go out of the way to do a mitzvah, then, even in this world, I could taste the reward. Why is that? Why do I get rewarded in this world for that? But it could be based on what we said today, that we have an explanation. Because when a person does a mitzvah that they don't have to, why would a person do that? It's only because a person realizes and appreciates and understands the value of the mitzvah, the beauty of the mitzvah. That the mitzvah is not for someone else, it's for me. I'm doing it because I get to taste something. Maybe that person that does a mitzvah, they're not obligated to do, reach a level that they're able to appreciate and taste the mitzvot in this world. And that's what it means you get rewarded in this world. It means you reach a level that you can appreciate what a mitzvah does to you. Here, right now, the journey. It's all the other people that need to wait till the next world to taste the Olam Haba, to taste the mitzvot. But such a person that's running after mitzvot, it's because he understands. He has a good eye. He appreciates. He appreciates the value. So he gets rewarded in this world. We should be zocheh to cultivate this approach, this attitude to mitzvot like Moshe Rabbeinu. To always be running. To always be grabbing mitzvot, good deeds. Never to talk like, I did enough. I gave enough. To realize, I want to do more. Of course I did what I had to. That's not how a person talks if they're talking about reward. You don't say I did enough. No one ever said when they got a raise, oh, I already got one. I already got a raise. Thank you, boss. I don't need another one. I never heard that one. I want another raise, of course. Thank you. Because when a person sees the beauty of something, the value in something, they want more and more and more. We should be zocheh to see the mitzvot in such a way, to always be running and pursuing and chasing after them. Okay, we'll stop over here, my friends. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.